right? And a lot of y'all don't know what the fuck tact is. All right, at least from my understanding, I'm gonna just give you a basic gist of it, right? Tact is how you say some shit to a motherfucker, how you come across the things you say, how you put it, how you basically your delivery of how you say what to people. Now, I live in Buffalo, New York, right? Moved up here from Georgia. And the biggest thing I noticed about people in New York, a lot of y'all do not have no type of tact. Y'all don't give a fuck how y'all come across. Y'all don't get like motherfuckers in New York are some of the rudest people I've ever met. Like the shit niggas pull up here will get a fucking bullet in your head down south. Literally. Like I've had, and then it's like not so much like directly rude. It's like backhanded rude. Like I parked wrong the other day, right? And I think I went to sleep. I get up early to go to work like around 4. Dude wrote on my windshield. Not like wrote on it with a marker, but you know how you write in the dew on someone's windshield, the water part? Motherfucker wrote on my windshield part better. And I was just like, you know what? Like, this little bitch ass shit people be pulling up here, where it's like they don't never say it to your face. They're behind your back kind of rude. It's like a standoffish kind of rude where it's like they say snarky shit from a distance. Like kind of like the internet thing when someone says slick shit over the internet, but they don't want to confront you about it. It's kind of like that. And that part bothers me to some degree. And, what upsets, and I'm turning this into something else. I promise I'm going to get back to it. What upsets me the most about it is that it's not one of those things where, like, okay, if a dude does some disrespectful shit and you stand on said disrespect, I can at least respect your disrespect because you had the balls to stand behind it. When you do some old pansy ass shit and then I can't find you, like, if you wrote on my windshield and left your phone number, I'd have been like, okay, this motherfucker's kind of a real motherfucker. Like, but when you do that shit and then I don't know who the fuck it is that does it, it kind of just leaves it where it's like, I really can't confront you about it because you did it. It's the whole throwing the rock and hiding your hand shit that sits with me funny. Or like, what I've encountered up here is like, the people I have gotten into it with, nobody's really trying to fight you. Like, they just want to say shit and they want to be like, oh, I just said what I said. Like, down south, if you say shit, you get hit in the face behind the shit that you say. Like, I swear, I understand why battle rap is not a big thing in the South. Because you cannot say all that fly shit to a nigga down south and think a motherfucker is not going to bop you in the head with a microphone. But I just want to say that real quick. But tact, right? A lot of y'all, and I mean, I use the Buffalo example because, it's the closest thing I can relate it to. But I see this a lot with people. I see this a lot in relationships where it's like, you ever catch a couple out in public and a girl just be talking like greasy to her husband? And, well, not even so much a husband, boyfriend, whoever the fuck she's out with, right? A lot of y'all, I think females especially, don't give a fuck how y'all talk to people. Like, you don't give a fuck how you say it. Like, a lot of y'all don't want to deal with nobody with any kind of boundaries. Y'all don't want no one that's going to sit there and tell you, hey, I don't like how you spoke to me. I am personally big on it. That is like a pet peeve for me. Nothing will get me mad faster than someone talking to me crazy. I'm telling you, it will send me over the edge. And then people try to disguise it as if you being bitch made about your response. Like, meaning like, well, I was just telling you the truth. And listen, I'll tell you personally, I used to do a lot of that. I used to say really blunt, truthful shit and not consider how the other person would take it. Like, if I would have to say if I was 27, right? Back when I was 27, I would say really blunt, truthful shit and not give a fuck about how the other person may have taken it. And now at 33, I'm a lot more careful about that. Meaning like, I don't just slang mud any kind of way anymore. I don't even really make statuses the same way way anymore. I don't just be saying anything. I'm not just, I'm not spraying my fucking verbal chopper, I guess, is the best way I can put it. I'm not just throwing shit all over the place and just saying shit however the fuck. I try to take consideration into how this might land with the person I'm trying to get it across to. Like, I notice a lot of people have trouble verbally communicating. Like, okay, for example, right? My sister was talking to me about her dude the other day, and just shit they deal with. I'm not gonna allude too much to that situation, but basically the thing I told her was, I get and I see this a lot in women, and I tell her the same thing. I was like, you gotta really be careful about how you come across to a man, because the way a dude is set up, like a woman, I think if I had to guess, like my biggest, not saying my biggest, but the biggest issue I see a lot of times when it comes to relationships and dating, I think personally, is that I don't think a lot of girls give a fuck about how they come across to their nigga. Like, you'll just say, like, well, okay, because you're speaking from the place of, I guess, somewhat of the emotion that you're feeling. So you don't give a fuck if you come across with this shit like a fucking power drill in a parking lot. Meaning, like, you feel like because the emotion that you're feeling is so intense, I wouldn't say intense, but you are really feeling that emotion. So you don't never question it or hold back on it. Or let me just chill out for a second. Like, there's no fail safe in the things you think. You're upset or bothered by whatever you're upset about, or you're feeling whatever you're feeling, and you feel like, I'm gonna just say this shit because I'm gonna say it how the fuck I'm gonna say it, and however the fuck you take it is on you. A lot of that little shit like that, it's very hurtful. Like, a woman that can't control her mouth is just as bad as a dude that can't control his hands. Hey, seriously, a girl that is like, there is a such thing as verbal abuse and how you say shit to people and the way you come across and the way you display your respect. And listen, I get that some dudes just don't get it, but you being a bitch about it doesn't help anybody. Because that same dude that you talking to crazy, like, okay, when a lot of y'all get yelled at, because I told her the same thing. A lot of y'all don't want to hear a motherfucker's whole, like, if a dude ever gets on his emotional, like, Martin Luther King, I gotta speak shit, where he gotta get a whole 40-minute tangent out of some shit that's bothering him, and he says it in that voice, that tone of voice where he got a lot of bass in it, you're not gonna want to hear that shit. You don't want, like, what I'm saying is, a lot of y'all want to be spoken to softly, but you don't want to speak softly. Like, you want a dude to talk to you calmly, like, hey, this really bothers me. Like, y'all want motherfuckers to communicate, but you don't give a fuck about how you communicate to people. Like, and a lot of that energy you put out into the universe is going to make its way back to you, either in some woman or in some type of situation. Yeah, getting tongue-tied. In some type of situation or something that you are not exempt from the shit you put out into the universe. And listen, there's a such thing as a verbally abusive dude. A lot of y'all men are verbally abusive too. Like, a lot of y'all guys take this male ego shit and you run with it too far. Meaning, like, you come in the house, because my dad used to do this. I remember being young and my dad would do this. And I think that's why I'm so against it now. I don't like to come across like a bull in a china shop. Like, I don't like to talk to my girlfriend anyway. I just don't like it. Like, I don't like feeling like I gotta talk to somebody like they're 3 feet tall. It makes me feel funny. Like, and my dad would come in the house, where the fuck the food at? Why you ain't cook all day? And you been sitting here? Like, there are niggas that really think like that. Like, I don't subscribe to that type of, like, verbal communication where you sit. Like, when I ask my girlfriend to do something, I ask her out of respect and kindness. Like, I don't just say anything to this motherfucker any kind of way. I don't like it. And listen, I get the whole you pay all the bills argument, you throw your weight around. There's still a such thing as verbal respect and how you say things to a woman. Because how you say things to her, like, if you, and I think this is a lot of black people's fault, because a lot of y'all like to be demanded of, so to speak. Like, a lot of y'all get turned on by that type of, like, demanding type of tone, and I get it. But it has to stop and start at some point, and I get it. Listen, every relationship is different. But a lot of y'all have this gorilla tone that you talk to women with, and it's not exactly a turn on to every girl. Like, some of y'all really don't give a fuck how you speak to women because y'all feel like, because you're a man, that nobody can't do shit to you. These same girls got brothers, uncles, dads, grandparents that care about them, and they will fuck you up behind some of that shit. Mild detour real quick, right? And this is what made me kind of, like, really notice it. When you start telling black trauma to white people or anybody else, like, black people to black people, black shit, the shit that black folks do, the shit that we do, when you tell that shit to other motherfuckers, they look at you like you fucking crazy. Like the shit that you, boy, when you have to, when I explain this stuff to my girlfriend, she looks at me like, this is really what goes on, like for real. Yeah. And you think because that's what happens in your neighborhood that that's what's normal everywhere else, and it's not. But like for real, the way you like, okay, the way you ask a person for some shit or say some shit, it makes all the difference in the world. Like if you say, hey, could you bring me my shoes? Like, would you mind? Like, I'm real big on that now. Like, hey, could you please do this for me? Like, I'd most appreciate it. Or I say thank you. I try to be. I'm telling you, I've really learned to work on my politeness. Like, I'm especially being in New York, bro. New York will make you like that. Cause I don't know. Down south is normal, but people to be verbally kind to you. Up here, it's like everybody's minding their own fucking business and they don't give a fuck. Like when I say motherfuckers in New York don't give a fuck, they don't give a fuck. And it's kind of made me appreciate that whole little, Southern charm thing, so to speak. So I try to really be careful about how I say things, the way I say things, how I display it, what mood I might be displaying, little shit like that. Because for real, you could probably possibly be giving, like, okay, you could be sitting there, right? You can just be sitting there, It could come across like you have an attitude. Just when you sitting there, like I'm just sitting there minding my business, I ain't saying shit to nobody. Like I did that one time. And I'm telling you, it comes across like you have the biggest, like the little shit you do, your mannerisms, how your face looks, like, because I used to always like wear a mug on accident. Like I'm always like slightly mad. And she looking at me like, why the fuck you all right? Like, I'm like, no, I'm chilling. But it don't look like I'm chilling. So I try to be a more pleasant person all around. It's just little stuff I'm learning to pick up here and there. And the little shit makes a difference in how a person responds to you. Like for real, bro. Verbal abuse is a real thing. Verbal abuse is I'm telling you, how you speak to people. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. It's something I try to take. I almost take pride in it now. It's like a very big thing for me. I don't like to disrespect people. I just don't, bro. Because I'm the kind of person when you know what it is with me? I'm so big on respecting others because I'm someone that takes disrespect, so I take it so personal. Like, it's like being verbally disrespected to me is like a motherfucker slapping me with a hot cup of water. Like, it's just like, boy, I'm telling you, it ignites me in a different way, and I'm working on it. But the disrespect will send me over the edge like a motherfucker. And again, I think I take it so personal because I think to myself, like, the things that happened to me that I've considered disrespect throughout my life, I would have never done it to no one else. Like, I think that be my other problem is I try to see, like, myself and other people, like, dog, I just wouldn't do it to you. Like, there's just certain lines I wouldn't cross with people. I just wouldn't cross it. Like, I take things into consideration when it comes to others. It's just like, I ain't gonna do it to you. I ain't gonna just act that way. I don't just blatantly just flagrantly disrespect motherfuckers. Like, I come from a space where you disrespect people, you gotta wear that ass whooping that comes with that disrespect. So I think 2 or 3 times before I just go do some old rude ass fuck nigga shit. Like, I just think to myself, like, something's gonna happen to me. Like, I'm the same way with drug dealing. Like, I never sold drugs, bro, because I always just felt like God was gonna make an example out of me. So I just never fuck with it. But yeah, man. If you can, be respectful of everybody and demand your respect too. Don't let nobody talk to you crazy. Don't let nobody talk to you little. Don't let nobody make you feel small. It's not a healthy, like a person that loves themselves. I'm telling you, when you love yourself, you don't sit there and just shit on people for the sake of it. Like, it don't feel good to bring another person down. Like, I would feel awful about that, to just take somebody and make them feel small. Like, now if you dish it to me, yeah, maybe, but just in general, like, to try to make somebody feel little, that don't feel good. But, y'all have a good day and shit. I'm gonna get up and start my day.